close to 90% of the nation's entire annual tax revenue. And keep in mind, that comes close on the heels of the last coronavirus relief bill that cost about $2 trillion. And of course, our usual annual spending is still there. It hasn't disappeared. So altogether, that's an awful lot of expenses, and every single new dollar will have to be borrowed because there aren't any left. That means that when the smoke clears from all this spending, only China will be able to bail us out. They'll have to. They're the only ones who can afford it. China has the strongest balance sheet in the world. At that point, we will be their vassals. So is it worth it? What will we get in return for doing that? Well, we spent all day reading Pelosi's bill to find out. Too few did that. We did. And here's what we found. First and most glaringly, with more than 30 million Americans out of work, really the last thing we need is more illegal low-wage labor from abroad. Yet this bill goes out of its way to supply illegal immigrants, who, in case you needed to be reminded, have no right to be here in the first place, with billions in taxpayer dollars. According to House Democrats, illegal immigrants must have a right to have the $1,200 checks that American citizens received in the last bill. They would also receive the same direct payments as American citizens going forward. So in effect, it's a huge payoff, the Democratic Party's most cherished constituency, a group that's not even allowed to be here. And then it goes on from there. The bill contains an amnesty provision. For the duration of the coronavirus crisis, that's something I'd like to see extended a very long time, all illegal immigrants employed in so-called essential services would be shielded from deportation. And their employers would be shielded too. People who hire illegal aliens could not be prosecuted. Now, don't be fooled. This is not about protecting physicians who are critical to providing medical care to the rest of us. Current essential workers, as they are defined in this bill, is in fact an enormous category that spans almost every part of the American economy. It includes employees in food services, laundry, waste management, childcare, agriculture, transportation, restaurants, as well as any retail worker in America who works at a location that sells food or beverages. This is a blanket amnesty for virtually every illegal alien who has already taken an American job. And once this amnesty is granted, it will never be taken away. Bet on that no matter what they tell you. Anyone who lives in Washington can confirm that. Once passed, it's not going away. And at that point, there will be no more debate about illegal immigration. The issue will be settled permanently, and Democrats will win every presidential election for the rest of your life, the rest of your children's lives, the rest of your grandchildren's lives. That's the point of this. But the bill keeps going from there. The bill would automatically extend current guest worker visas while raising the ceiling for additional ones. Democrats have called this bill the HEROES Act. They're telling you it will help healthcare workers. But as of tonight, thousands of American healthcare workers are being furloughed from their jobs or fired entirely. This bill, remarkably, orders DHS to expedite visa processing for foreigners who want to come to the U.S. and work in healthcare. Got that? American healthcare workers laid off, now they could be replaced by foreigners willing to work for less. We don't have to guess if that could happen. It's happened throughout American industries. Under this bill, it would happen to our healthcare system as well. Sorry, unemployed Americans, better get used to drawing a government check. That's your future. And then there's the long section in this legislation about drugs. The bill is strongly in favor of drugs.
Listen to this.
When you're high, you're less likely to think or worry about what else is in the bill. The bill mentions cannabis 68 times. It orders the federal government to produce an annual report on, quote, expanding access to financial services for minority-owned and women-owned cannabis-related legitimate businesses. Democrats would like to see more drug sales in minority neighborhoods. That's in this bill. Keep in mind, these are the people calling you a racist. And the bill makes it clear they still believe you are. The bill mentions diversity at least 20 times. It would order all federal government agencies, to the greatest extent possible, to hold deposits in minority-owned banks. Okay, fine, but what does the pandemic and our response to it have to do with race politics? Stupid question. In the Democratic Party, everything has to do with race politics all the time. It's the primary way they get and keep power. Race politics is the only program they have, that and more crime and increased censorship. This bill, believe it or not, also contains a prison break provision. It's like a Saturday Night Live sketch. This bill would order the release of every federal prisoner who has asthma, diabetes, or is over 50 years of age, unless the Bureau of Prisons affirmatively proves the inmate in question is likely to commit violence against a specific person. Not in general, against a specific person. Here's the censorship part, and it's part of a growing and ominous theme in that direction, a theme that will prevent you from saying or believing what you like. This bill directs $1 million to the National Science Foundation to study coronavirus, quote, misinformation, which shouldn't be allowed. In other words, shut up and stop disagreeing with our pronouncements. That's not allowed. Take another hit on your government-sponsored dab pen and submit. That's the message that it sends. But for the favored few, the Democratic Party's donor class, the bill is far more generous.
Listen to this crap. They're going.
In fact, it's a payday.
Yeah.
This bill would repeal the
Rich
cap
people
on
in
state and
poor
local
states.
tax deductions. That would help, almost exclusively help, high-income neighborhoods in overtaxed blue states. Why is that significant? Because that's the beating heart of the Democratic electorate. This is a payoff to them. Amazingly, and you can't make this up, this bill, the HEROES Act, would also help a very different kind of hero. It would make lobbying shops in Washington, D.C. eligible for small business loans from the federal government. In this bill, lobbyists are heroes. You can't leave them out. Who wrote this thing? Probably not scientists. Lobbyists and ideologues wrote it. The same people who control the Democratic Party. The same people who badly want to control this country. Sagar Enjeti is chief Washington correspondent.